Welcome to the Two Ravens podcast, where two people sit down and chat about their minds and thoughts, specifically their unique perspectives on the life that they're living. Today, we're going to be digging into Camilla. I totally butchered that, but that's okay. She will introduce herself. How are you doing today, hon? Like, I feel on X, I never see your face or like videos anywhere. It's just your amazing posts. So how are you doing? How you been?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you. And okay, kind of to introduce myself here, I'm Camilla. I've been an X creator for 6, 7, 8 months now. Okay, so it's definitely been a journey. And right now I do client acquisition, which is that I have, now that I've gotten clients myself, I help other people do the same, and it's through something that I call simplicity. Because when you start your brand and you feel like people tell you to do all those kinds of things, right? Engage 100 times, comment 100 times, do that and do that. They tell you things over and over again, and I just believe in simplicity. It's just that if you do 3 to 5 things, right, that you can move the needle, which is not usually not about posting. It really depends, but we can go further into that. But if you do a few things, that's when you can manage and really move up the scale to building your brand and actually signing clients for your own business too.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me a bit about that simplicity mindset, because I know you recently posted about that. Did you start with the simplicity mindset when you came to X, or how has that evolution been for you?
Okay, and no, absolutely not. Okay, so to tell you about my journey, okay, I got into X. Okay, I was a brand new beginner, right? And then someone came to me and told me how to grow a bit. So then I scaled from 0 to like 400 followers. Okay, I already started networking, having some opportunities. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I heard some other person tell me, no, do this, do that, do that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this too. Pum, 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 pum. And I wasn't scaling that much. Okay, so it was a bit stuck. And I was like, well, why am I not scaling, right? It might be because, I don't know, maybe I'm not confident enough. I'm not. People go through all sorts of things when you talk about why am I not making it. And if they go into mindset, they just pivot into being what? Nietzsche. Okay, Freud. They go into all sorts. Oh, maybe it's because when you were little, your mom used to make you eggs instead of milk, and so you've built into this person that isn't scaling as much. And I'm like, screw that. Okay, screw that. Let's kind of bring ourselves to a surface. Okay, so myself being that situation around December, I started to die. I'm like, okay, it's not the mindset. So what is it? Right? What is it? And then I started to take a look at my tasks. Okay, and I was like, what am I doing to actually scale? And I reflected upon it. I'm like, do I actually need to do all these things? Because I was taking on too many projects, right? And I was, first off, overstacked. And second off, which is the worst thing, I was overstacked and not doing any advancement within my business. So I'm like, okay, well, there's clearly something wrong here. Okay, so then I started moving on towards the trajectory of simplifying things, right? Simplify tasks in a mean that you scrape off one, you scrape off those you do not need to do, right? Because other creators are doing something doesn't mean you have to do the same thing, right? With my mentor, when I first was learning how to close clients, I went to my mentor and said, oh, how about maybe I create these other offers like 10 other creators are doing. I see they make so much money from it. I want to make this 20,000 other offers. It's like, Camilla, stop right there. And the reason for that is when you have, they have offers because they have a structured funnel and they've already got high ticket clients. So now they're trying to scale. They're trying to build other, milestones in their funnel, right? They're expanding, but you do not need to do that as a beginner. Okay, as a beginner, right? When you start with your own business, you take it one step and then you go towards a linear line. You go towards a linear line, you reach a certain spot, and then you start to leverage. And that was my biggest mistake up until then, was that I had too many projects. So then I started on simplifying everything. And eventually I came off to signing my own first clients. I came on to, monetizing on X, creating my brand also. Scale incredibly fast, to be honest. I'm very grateful for it. And creating my network as well. All of those things which I wanted to do but couldn't do because I had too many projects ongoing.
Yeah, what projects did you decide against? What projects did you cut out and what projects did you keep?
Okay, let's get back to the situation in December, okay? December, I was doing many things. I was working for free endlessly with two agencies. Now, let me tell you why that is the worst thing you can do. Okay, because then you think, oh, I want to grow experience. I want to do all this sort of fun things. I want to get myself into the game. Cool, awesome, great. But when you don't have a plan, it's going to get more difficult and difficult to scale. Okay, because you see these people monetize incredibly fast. And when you actually go talk to them, the main reason why they scaled so incredibly fast is because they had powerful coaches behind and they decided to take action as soon as they started. So they invested in a coach immediately, right? And they told them what were the right thing to do. Well, at the time, I didn't have a coach yet, number one. Number two, I was kind of like, let's try this out, maybe. Let's do some content. I didn't have a scheduled plan of the things I was going to do to that Twitter brand. I was just like, I'm going to run your brand, which resulted in endless work with no results. Now, I ended up kind of making my way around that, right? But that was one of my biggest bottlenecks, was that working with those two agencies, right? Although it taught me some basics, but it really took up so much of my time that I could have spent on things that actually moved my needle faster.
Yeah, so when did you get a coach? And after you'd gotten your coach, how quickly did you see your needle start moving?
Now, I did get my coach towards January, right? January, February, and March, actually. I've been through 3 coaches right now onto my third, and we're scaling up my brand, right? And for now, okay, I started seeing results. Actually, I'm going to tell you this. On the 31st day of December 2023, I left the 2 agencies and I made a brand new offer that same day. I was like, okay, 2024 starting. I'm going to close this chapter. I'm going to open another one. And then 3 weeks later, I actually signed my first high ticket.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. So you completely scrapped everything. And outside of scrapping everything, what did you gain? Like, what did you learn from your agencies that you'd been in?
Well, from my agencies, okay, there were agencies that didn't have enough time. So what taught me, I feel like the lesson it taught me was how to deal with client work. Because although I was working for free, they were actually my clients, which means I had to meet up their expectations somehow, right? And I was also doing some work for brands, like posting content, right, for different niches that weren't my own. So he's also taught me a bit about ghostwriting, which is now included in my, my program, my service currently. And I would lie if I said it was a complete waste of time, because it was not, right? I still ended up learning from it. But like looking at it back, right? Looking at it back right now, if I were like, if there was 2022 Camilla here on the side, I'm like, okay, here's what you need to do. Cancel the agencies, make a more structured plan on what you want to do for these agencies, like, I don't know, posting 3 times a day to get a specific result, and then offer that to them. Don't ever offer free endless work. That I feel like was my biggest screw up. just not having a detailed plan of what exactly you want to achieve and what results you want to bring. Focus on results, not actually on the process.
For sure.
Because that's what your clients want in the end.
Yeah.
They want you to bring the result. They want you to bring them leads, not to just write tweets about stuff.
Right.
And that's also a way you can experience and improve yourself by challenging yourself.
Yeah. So what's your opinion on like doing free work? Is there a limit? Should beginners do it? Do you recommend it to anybody?
Okay. I'd recommend it in very few cases, actually, right? Because when let's say you're a copywriter, okay, and you've learned email copywriting for a couple of months, okay, what you can do instead of offering free work, you can say, okay, I write this email down for you, and if it gets you these kind of results, you pay me a certain percentage. It's on commission, okay, which is very different because now you're being paid on results. You're not working for free, right? So working for free only I did that recently through under contracts. Okay, someone wanted to see if I was good enough for the service. Like we were really under contracts, and I was like, okay, if you don't believe me, let me work for free for 1 week, and let me show you what we can do with your brand. Let me show you what we can create down the long path. Okay, because my program typically lasts about 90 days, okay, which is a considerable period of time, right? You're being in this relationship with this person for 3 months, right? It's a lot of your time, so you want to make sure they're the right fit for you, both with about the service, right? Regarding the service and regarding the person. Is it a person you can work with?
Yeah, for sure. And regarding building your offer and everything, what was the biggest lesson you had building your current offer?
Building out my current offer. Okay, that's interesting. Biggest lesson I've learned. Right. Good question. I'd say definitely. Okay, talk more about results and benefits other than features. Okay, I followed a Dan Locke course several months ago. Dan Locke, I don't know if you know who that is.
Not sure.
Okay. He's a very powerful salesman. Okay, and one of his lessons, right? He tells about he as a copywriter was writing about all the logistics of the certain product, and his mentor said, "What are you doing? Throughout the logistics, focus on what your client wants, focus on their wants, and then you show them what they need." Right? I also did like 60 calls on February, probably like 60 sales calls, 80 sales calls that I booked. Yeah. And one of my biggest lessons was that you need to focus more on their wants and less on their needs. Okay. Because then someone could tell you, yes, I think the problem is X. And you think to yourself, it's actually Y. And you want to correct them. Right? You want to correct them and say, oh no, it's actually why the reason, it's actually why the reason of why you're doing this, having these problems. And that was a lesson I learned from, right? Don't convince them on what they need. Focus on their wants first, and then you show them what they exactly need. Right? Focus on what they want, focus on them. How do you say that? Really strong, powerful quote I've heard. Sell the why, show the how.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned Dan Locke. I imagine that was an amazing course. What other people or courses have you really enjoyed on your journey, even outside of X, like before X? Who's been your favorite mentor?
Ooh, before X? No, actually, I've tried a couple of businesses before X, right? I've tried dropshipping, e-commerce, even coding video games. right? And designing logos, but I never really went deep enough to actually start following courses and coaches on that. And I followed few courses. I'll be really honest with you. I followed few courses because then I just went straight on mentors. I realized that what I needed was someone to stay there with me and say, okay, this is what you do, this is what you do not do, and give me tailored advice so I could get to my goals faster.
Right. So you tried a couple of business before X. Tell me about little lessons you've learned throughout all of your business models you've tried.
Okay. The most famous business model I've dwelled upon was actually dropshipping. Right. And dropshipping I started in 2023. So it's been more than a year that I've been on this business side of things, right? I've tried dropshipping and I've opened and had to close more than 4 shops for one reason. Everything was going well, right? I didn't completely suck at dropshipping, despite the fact that everyone in that market tells you, get a coach, get someone to do the dropshipping for you. I wanted to do it myself. I was really sturdy on doing it myself, so I did it myself. And they were going well. I'd say decent. I've made a couple of sales, but then I didn't have the revenue to continue spending on ads, right? And once I've started with X, right, and once I've grew my brand, I realized that damn, if I spent 1 to 3 months growing a brand based on that, on my specific product, I would have sold more and spent absolutely zero instead of running Facebook advertisement.
Right.
Also because Facebook campaigns are really, I cannot say that word. Facebook campaigns, they ban your advertisement really often, and that killed probably 2 out of 4 of my dropshipping businesses. Just Facebook banning your campaigns.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something I hardly want to deal ever again. But other than that, I realized that if you start spending time building a brand and actually making it connect with people rather than doing advertisement, you can monetize off of drop shipping without even spending for ads, which is amazing. It's an incredible opportunity the one we're on, actually.
Wow. Tell me a little bit more about this. Or are you saying like using X in order to showcase like drop shipping in a sense? Or tell me about that.
Well, I've in February, I believe, yes, I've went on. I've actually did an accomplishment, which means that I made an Etsy seller make his stock sold out with one single post. I posted about this watch, right, on my account, and I followed, right. It went viral, and he had 3 watches left. Those 3 watches were gone. So that was probably $500 revenue, 650
Wow. Okay.
from one post.
Oh man, that's like a whole new business model that just like poof. That's so cool. From one that I
That's what
remember that
opened.
watch and everything too. Yeah. I even looked at buying
Mm-hmm.
that watch. That's okay.
A lot of people did, actually, and that's what really opened my eyes, is that creating a brand really does not only serve to sign clients and do the usual stuff. It can serve as everything. You
Right.
can do anything once you have people who trust and connect with you.
Damn. Okay. Wow, that's really fancy. And regarding that, like, do you plan on using that knowledge with anything else?
Well, currently dropshipping is not in my plans. Okay, I might think about it in the future, right? Because there's also this opportunity going, and I really like exploring and testing stuff. But for now, really onto my focusing on this brand on X, my current service, and just making the people feel satisfied of my help.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing for the moment. Dropshipping, I've tried it. Okay, I've tried taking it on back in December, but when you have too many things going, focus that well on both of them. right?
Yeah,
So in the end, I had to scrape it up because there was so much stuff to do with the X account as well.
for sure.
Because I was still working with the two agencies, so I couldn't possibly start an e-commerce brand during that time.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned that you liked exploring. Is like exploring something you've always enjoyed outside of like digital business? Do you like going places, traveling?
Okay. Not exploring in that sense. I was more meaning of testing stuff. And as for testing, funny thing, I test each and every single day new DM strategies, new content strategies. For now, I think I've sent something like 700, 600 manual DMs, which means that I've went up to 700 people and sent them either a personalized message or something following a script to see, okay, what works best. And in February, that did really great because I ended up booking like those 60 plus calls for myself, right? Following the script, and then later on went to the same path. So I actually test many things on my own brand each and every single day.
That's a lot of DMs. Holy crap. Okay. So we'll go back to the sales calls. How did you manage your time when you were juggling 60 plus calls in 1 month?
Um, well, I would really love to tell you how I did it, but the fact is I did not. Which means I was unorganized. To be completely honest, it's not like I managed my time. I was doing 3-4 hours maybe worth of calls every single day, 7 days out of 7. Because at a certain point, I believe, like 1 week or two, I got fully stacked, fully all 7 days, right? And so I would go to school, come back from school, have lunch, like from I don't know 2 to 3 p.m., and then from 4 to 8 p.m. I would have calls, sales calls,
Wow.
for 3 weeks, 1 month, yeah, for the entire month, 7 days out of 7.
Okay. And what on those sales calls you were pitching specifically your brand accelerator program, right?
Yes. Now, I do usually dive into that, because I also offered some consulting. Okay. As I mentioned, I like testing many things. So it was never really the same sales call over the 60 calls I've taken. And they're actually more like discovery intake calls. Because after having a, I'd say, bad client journey, right, in the past, then I wanted to focus more on working with people I actually liked. So I then got to know people, and then I provided value. And if they were interested, I would then pass on to my actual offer and service if they wanted my help with their brand,
For sure.
right? But what I looked for mostly was the people I talked to and what kinds of people were there.
Yeah. If you had to redo the month of February again with those 60 to 80 calls, how would you change it? How would you do it over again to be more efficient?
Um, okay, so, okay, the reason I took so many calls, right, is because some people also weren't completely qualified, which means they didn't really have an idea to start a brand with. And unfortunately, I cannot help with that, right? You need to have an idea to start off with. So the only thing I would do would be to kind of ask them a few questions to get to know about their situation before actually going on the call, right? And also alerting them 2 hours before, because when you alert someone of a call that was scheduled the week before and you alert them 10 minutes before, trust me, they're not going to show up ever. You need to alert them. Like, even I know someone who alerts people like 6 hours prior, one day prior, and that's really important to let them know about the call. Okay, because during the week, of course, you forget about it. Okay, right? You forget about it. You have other stuff to do. So, two things: make questions before you hop on a call, and then alert them way before the call starts.
Right, because people are forgetful. Okay. And so
Mhm.
you mentioned a bad client experience. Tell me about that.
Not exactly a bad client experience. Actually, let me kind of rephrase that. we ended up on good terms, right? I'm usually very diplomatic, to be honest. Okay, I don't like fighting off for small things, and I like to be very uh, straightforward. Yes, but in a way that we can both agree on. Have you ever read, by any chance, How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yes, we chatted about it a little bit.
Yes, and then there's the thing you want to say, and then how you want to say it. Right? You can scream at your client saying, "You suck, I hate working with you." Or you can actually try to make arrangements and see, okay, let's see how this can work. Right? So I was with this client, and now the thing is, I also do ghostwriting in my offer, right? And let's say this person was a writer, a proficient writer, who had his own way of writing. Right? And of course, he was a writer and we didn't really find an agreement upon the current content, because obviously the content is a very important part, right? You want to make sure the audience likes what you do, and it was a balance between me making the content relating to his X market and him wanting to be a writer, right? He was more of a philosopher, actually. And in the end, okay, we kind of went on for days and days, and I was like, okay, if you don't like the way I write the content, then maybe this might not be an option for us. Right? And then I also wrote up to him again. I was like, okay, maybe how about this other person, which I thought was more fit for what he wanted to do, because he had a very peculiar way of writing, okay, that didn't fit into Twitter standards, to say, right? And I really love this writing, but I also try to make his writing fit within the Twitter community, and we dwelled upon it, right? And in the end, it was like, okay, maybe we're not the right fit together. Right? And that taught me a lot. That taught me a lot about what sorts of people I can work with and I cannot work with. Because then I had another client, right? And I had an amazing experience with him, right, in the content, right? Because we were a real fit for each other, right? We had a real connection. And what this lesson has basically taught me, right, is that you need to qualify people. Right. Yeah, not qualify people, but you need to understand what kind of person you're facing before you actually get to work with them, right? People sometimes tend to show some red flags, right, that you may not notice. And then later, when you really think about the whole situation, you say, oh, so that was that. And now I understand why this was maybe not such a good fit.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when in February I started looking for people, rather than instead of helping everyone, I really started to look for the people who I would also have a great relationship. Because when you have a great relationship, the business also skyrockets, right? Business are relationships. And when the relationship is great, the business is great also.
Right. Okay. And you mentioned you do the content writing as well as like a side offer. So how do you go about writing content for your clients?
How do I go about writing content for my clients? Now, I follow the EVA framework, which is a very common framework. And what that is that on the morning you post something about engagement and growth, right? To gather like as many people as you can. It's exactly as a funnel, right? Here you have the engagement post. Here you have the value post, okay, and the kind of like the funnel restricts itself, and then you have the authority post in the end, right? So I was doing a combination of all three posts per day, right? You build like a simple post in the morning, then in the evening some value, and then you really tie down to that authority. I also learned, right, that working with people who already had experience is something that you would rather do, because people who don't have experience also have a lot of questions and answer. And when someone already has experience, They already know who they work for and where can they find them, right? They already know the answers, and you just need to format their information and basically put it on Twitter. Okay, not sure if I can explain myself. If I have a coach, right, a fitness trainer, and he's specifically working for dads because he's had experience with dads, then I already know who to look for, right? Instead, if I have a coach who's starting out, not sure what he wants to do, and not sure if he can deliver, then it's going to be way harder to scale his business up, because then it's all about delivering. And if you've already delivered, obviously, then it'll be way easier to scale up your content. Okay, the people I work with usually have experience, right? But they have experience in their own fields, so they're professionals, but they do not know how to present that on Twitter in a way that makes it look attractive, right? So that's what I help people do, kind of shift their already present career onto Twitter, right? Because it's a very particular game if you look from an outside perspective, right? When I talk to people about Twitter, they tell me like, client acquisition. Oh, what is that? Oh, what do you mean you get clients for people? Wait, but what is content? It's really difficult. It's really difficult to explain to people what Twitter is all about.
Right.
It takes a while. It takes a while for the people who don't know well about it. And if you have someone who's a professional and either they don't want to do their stuff on social media or they don't have time, then they will not bother to learn how to actually profit and monetize more with their service through X. Right, so that's where I come in to help them.
Yeah. And regarding them already having experience, is that what was like one of the biggest kinks with your philosophical client, was just his experience in writing?
Oh, no. He was a very proficient client and also helped other clients of his doing the same. Absolutely not. He was very experienced from that. Okay. He was a really good writer. His let's say our combination wasn't what he expected it to be.
And so your offer, you write content. What else do you do inside of your offer?
Okay, writing content is a small part of it actually, and I do that. I do that because of inbounds.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And other than that, I basically it's done for you service. So I take their account. They don't have to do anything. I take their account and bring them to point A to point B entirely. They don't have to touch their account. They don't have to do a single thing for it, which also means I'm worrying about content creation, engagement strategies, connecting, networking, creating lists, reaching out to people, both warm and cold DM, and other strategies like follow-up DMs and all of that jazz, and also appointment setting. Okay, and then that's everything I do inside of X. Then I also worry about crafting their offer better so it meets the standard of the people on Twitter, right? And then it's easier to sell. And then another thing I do is that if they have trouble to sell on the call, then I've also teamed up with 2 other sales coaches, and I can help them with that by offering a session, my client and these 2 coaches, to help him close more, him or her. Yeah, yes. Okay, so it's actually really taking them from place A to place B entirely, which means that I do everything that's needed on X, but then I also partially help you on the closing stage, right? The call, because obviously they have to be present there. And I can also help with that by crafting a more irresistible offer, number 1, which is a big, major, it's a major thing. Okay, if you want to sell, you need to have an irresistible offer. And number 2, I can have them team up with these other sales coaches, which have been incredible.
That's awesome.
Right, they're very experienced. They're professionals in what they do. They've been doing sales coaching for years now, right? And I trust them that they can deliver also results for my clients as well. I really trust them.
Yeah, that's really cool. And regarding, so I kind of do something similar. I do full stack, which includes like I write a 5-day email course. I manage their lists. I also do Twitter ghostwriting, and so like I manage their funnel from like the top all the way down to the close, like getting the call.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I don't offer is engagement in DMs. How do you go about engaging in DMing for somebody else?
Engaging, yeah, first off, really good question. Engaging is with a client of mine, I had to revive his account. Okay, before even starting with the brand, he was completely dead. And the thing is, when you have a dead account, it has disadvantages, right? I found out many things about X algorithm and how it works from that experience. Now, first off, if your following count is 30% more than your follower count, then X is going to disadvantage you, okay, in their algorithm, right? So when you post something, it gets seen less times. Okay, so it was a whole process of reviving his account, and we actually were two on this, okay? Because I'm not going to lie, it's labor work. Reviving an account is tough stuff, and I had a friend of mine hop on the account, and we were engaging together. Probably like I'd put 1 hour and a half, yeah, probably like around 4 to 5 hours a day engaging, and that in a week brought him from 0 to 40,000 views. Actually, it was less than a week, probably 5 days. All right, but he really spiked those numbers up to begin with, and that was awesome because it was an inactive account that was been inactive since 2020. Right, so it was a big work to do. Okay, and overall that was the engaging part. Okay, the DMing part, it's really broad because I could tell you what's working right now, but tomorrow will be different. That's the thing about DMing, and that's why I test so much. Tomorrow will be different because the information flow is so strong that people getting to actually reach out to people and seem genuine at the same time is becoming more and more difficult each day. Right? Because then there's a new script coming up, new stuff coming out, all of the jazz, and people follow it, and then, your DM list starts getting bombarded. Okay, so you have to find new ways of letting them see that you genuinely want to help them in what they're doing and growing their brand. Okay, and coaching them. Okay, my client was a coach.
So regarding sending DMs, do you send the first DM and just send like a template that's pretty copy and paste but somewhat personalized, asking them like problems or things like that? Or is there a different way you go about it?
Well, there are different ways. Okay, now I hear a lot from my own people as well, which is people for my own brand, right? And then I kind of ask them about their situation, okay, see what's going on, and if they have a problem, I can, with much ease, answer them in DMs, right? That's the thing I do often, and that's warm DMs, right? But first off, from my month in February, I understood that having a script is always important. Okay, people, can I say bad words?
Yes.
Okay, people bitch about it a lot.
Okay,
about scripts, and I understand it from one point of view because it looks really robotic when you use them badly, right? So what you like those scripts, hey, would you like having I don't know, 20 to 30 leads in the next month, pay up to results, and you're like, delete that. Okay, now the way I do the M scripts, right, is that I make them personalized to each person, right? So they know I'm actually interested in their case, and I present myself by actually getting myself genuinely interested in their situation. Okay, that's why I used to do some automated DMs as well, and that it's very much about leverage. We're going to talk about that in a bit, right? But I present myself by being genuinely interested in their case, and then if they're actually needing for help and searching for help, then I move on. Okay, how about we make a discovery call and see if we're a good fit for each other?
Yeah.
right? Many people just go on to ask random questions. Maybe they just copy paste. Hey name, how's business going for you? And I find that to be so ambiguous, right? Because when you ask questions, and I don't know why you're asking me these many questions. Okay, pretend you're asking me questions in the ends, like, "Hey, how's business going for you?" Yeah, it's going good. What about you? Oh, it's going amazing. How many clients have you signed this month? Uh, get ghoster. The more questions you do without telling them what's going on, the more it's going to sound ambiguous because they don't know what you're asking those questions for, and they're like, "Oh, okay, she's trying to sell me. She's trying to sell me." Right? They find that ambiguous, and completely get that. Right? I also find some combos ambiguous. Okay, there's kind of like a feel to it. Okay, almost given by a sixth sense. Right? So I usually start off by interested in the case and then ask some more questions maybe to see what their situation is, obviously.
For sure. And do you come up with those questions like with your client kind of like the what does your target audience want? Is that kind of the questions you follow a little bit in regarding finding out about their case?
Oh, well, apologies. I'll have you to reframe that question.
Okay. Um do you when you are asking here, let me think about this to put it in simpler words. When you are sending DMs to try to qualify someone and you're asking them questions to see if they fit your client's needs, do you follow like what the target audience wants? If not, we can scrap that question. It's okay. I don't quite know how to reframe it. In a sense, like when you're trying to qualify this person in their DMs, do you just simply ask them questions about their case to figure it out? As in, like, are you having issues with this? Are you having problems with this? How is this going? And just doing like one question or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yes. Yeah, usually, okay, you don't want to start off, "Hey, how's it going?" That's way too general. Okay, you have a service, you intend to help people, and you want to see if this person is fit for you. Okay, and it's not that people hate sales calls, right? People hate like tire kickers. Okay, these sales calls that just end up wasting their time. People don't hate sales or offers, right? They hate when you're literally robbing off their money.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And usually you try to get them to either say yes or no because that's an easy question. Okay. If you say, you start DM, "Hey, saw your profile, really great posts. How's it going?" That's one, vague, two, ambiguous, and three, that's too general. People are never going to reply to that. So instead of being vague, ambiguous, and general, you focus on making the opposite of it. So very specific, not exactly specific. You don't have to write a poem, but specific enough. Don't be vague. Let the person know what your intent is, without being one of those sales robots. Number one. Number two. Forget what the points are. Vague. Okay. Dumb being a robot, number one. Okay, number two, dumb being ambiguous. Okay, which means don't ask general questions. Okay. And number three, okay, focus on being really casual, okay? I've received recently a great DM opener, which was very, very personal. I was like, okay, who's this person now? Okay, that was great DM, by the way. And what usually people do is, yeah, mostly their mistakes are they're being too vague, ambiguous in general, like starting off with, "Hey, how are your kids doing?" to, "Hey, can I feature my service?" Oh yeah. Oh, your kid Jamie's going to high school? That's so great. When do you have time to pick it up after school? Hey, do you want to get on a call with me and yeah, discuss this Jamie thing so you can watch Jamie playing football and yes, okay. You don't have to do all of that, get to know about their family. You're not marrying them. You don't that's also a very common mistake. People want to marry fast, which means they want to close in there very fast. So if I go to you, right, and I do client acquisition, you're someone who needs my service, searching for my service anyways, and I tell you, hey Bryn, do you want to marry me? Right? And you tell, who the hell is this person? Obviously not. Get the hell around my way. Right? So you don't ask people to marry them, by the way, which means that you don't ask people to straight up buy from you right away. Right? Oh, I should make a book on all of these mistakes I've seen. Sent over 500 DMs. I could stand up here talking all day about the craziness of what people do. The creativity in DMs, okay? That's sending me off every time. It's always nice to see people having more creative ways, and I'm still kind of failing, but they're learning. So I respect the hustle. I always respect people who outreach for their own business, okay, regardless of what their DM is, unless they're insulting my family.
Right. That's awesome. So, honestly, that would be a great giveaway. I would download that giveaway if you did it. I'll be waiting for it.
Awesome. Well, wait, let me just note it up. Right? Really great giveaway. People reaching out. Awesome. I could really make a book, seriously. I could make a book on that.
Do it. Make a book on it. I will totally read it. I would totally take that.
Okay. Book on DMs and people massively failing with it.
Oh man, that'll be a great one. So to slowly wrap things up, what is your favorite? We're gonna get more personal. We know you live in Italy, and I like personal questions. I also love food, and I know you're eating good food over there. So what is your absolute favorite dish in Italy?
Favorite dish. Yeah, my answer is pretty obvious. It's going to be pizza. Okay. Pizza from Naples. Okay. I went to, okay, sorry, to kind of cut off a bit. I went to Prague, and it's so weird how people don't live in a country that's centered around food. Okay. Usually people have lunch from 1 a.m. to 4 p.m. 4 hours. Okay. Eating and then taking coffee. You always take coffee after after lunch. It's a no-brainer.
Really?
Right? And then I went to Prague, and the food sucked. The coffee sucked. And I was like, what do these people do around the day? What do these people do if they're not centered around food? It's such a weird thing, to be honest. I really don't get that.
Oh, that's awesome. What's your favorite type of pizza?
Margherita, bufala, Regina. Yeah, like pizzas with tomato sauce. Also, quattro formaggi.
That sounds so fancy. I will be eating that when I go to Italy. Ours are so.
You need to go to Italy, and you need to go eat pizza in Naples. Otherwise, they can charge you. I'd have so much to complain about other countries because everything is also so expensive. In Prague, bad coffee is more expensive than prestigious coffee in Italy. Bad pizza is more expensive than good pizza in Italy. Okay, good pizza in Italy, you pay that maybe with the inflation at max 10 to 12 euros. But if you go into really, really fancy restaurant, otherwise for a margherita, that's like 6 euros. Okay, that's really nothing. And then I go to Prague. Oh yeah, it's like $15, 20 euros for one pizza. I'm like, screw off. Our pizza sucks. I don't want to pay for this garbage. I'm going back to my country.
Awesome. So I will
Going back to
cancel.
the real food.
I'll cancel my vacation to Prague, and I'll just go to Italy instead.
It's less expensive. It's less expensive. Prague was stupidly expensive compared to Italy expectations, okay? A coffee costs like €3 and it's dirty water? No, get the hell out of my face. Okay, I'm taking my coffee at my school for 60 cents and it's one of the best coffees I've ever tasted. Don't get to me with that touristy vibe and say that coffee in Prague is good. It's not. You just don't have standards. It's not. It's not good.
Man,
It's
Italians
absolutely fresh.
need to rule the world of food. I don't think any other country should be allowed to make food.
Oh my God. Like, I'm shocked. How do people live if we're really food centered? And there is a line in Italy that goes il dolce far niente, which means the sweetness of doing nothing. Really do nothing during those lunches, okay? Especially if you have a birthday, right? Then you can expect that the lunch is going to last from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Every time.
That's crazy.
Every single time. Okay. At my 18th birthday, it was like that. Really, really dolce far niente.
That sounds like a great time.
It does. We're very happy in Italy compared to other countries like Germany, Belgium. Like, they all look depressed, even in Prague. Like, come to Italy.
Yeah.
Come to Italy. What are you wasting your money for? Like the castle of Prague. You have the Colosseum, and you can take the coffee for €1.20. Come to Italy. Okay. This is a very aggressive type of selling.
I am being sold like direct marketing to come to Italy right now, and I'm so sold. Oh
Come
man.
to Italy. Okay, wait. One city to recommend is Florence. I recommend Florence. Venice, it's a tough spot because people talk a lot with it, but I also heard it's touristy. Very, very touristy. A lot of people going on there. And Rome is, well, I live in Rome. It's fantastic. Okay. In Florence, they don't give you water with coffee. Do you know water with coffee? Do you know why they do that? Okay. Okay. I'm going to teach you here.
Okay.
So they actually, with the coffee, they give you a small glass of water. And, well, there are different beliefs, right? But ideally, you should drink water before you taste coffee because it kind of puts sort of a shield on your teeth. And it also prepares your mouth for the coffee taste. Okay. And then after, you drink water to kind of like clean your mouth, right? So only the taste stays in your palate.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And they do that in Rome. They do that in southern regions, but they don't do that in Florence. Or at least I didn't see them do, which is really weird. Living in Italy, you need in Milan. They let you even pay for water, which is outrageous. I'll never pay for water if I get coffee. That should be a must. Okay. Right. And can I say, we suck at economy, right? We're really not efficient, but that's why our food is so great. Because Americans thought about cooking pizza with those really modern ovens, and their pizza sucks. And we haven't changed our oven since like the 14th century. Okay, we have traditionally pizza is cooked in this oven, right, made of stone. And we haven't changed that, and the pizza is still good. So efficiency actually, the term for it, Warrenson, makes the food worse.
Yeah. Okay. Man.
Americans are really efficient, but their food
sucks. I'll say it.
Great.
I'll say it. Okay. Americans' food is the worst.
And there are so many of these people. Okay, in Italy you won't find as much. Although, yes, we tend to. It's not like we don't eat. There are just not as many sugars in our
Yeah.
food.
Yeah. That's what I noticed in the UK as well. Like, I could eat sweets and they didn't taste as good, of course, but I didn't feel like a dog dying afterwards.
You feel like a dog dying after tasting sweets in America. Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting.
It's really bad. Our sugars are so like the processed food is terrible in America. That's all we eat is processed food. Like our Whole Foods are nearly double the price. Like a thing of strawberries is more expensive than frozen strawberries.
Ooh, yeah, I know America's economy and policy is really something else compared to Italy.
Compared to most countries.
We suck at marketing and we suck at economy, but at least we have good food traditions and people.
Absolutely. I think that's the best way to leave it. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you hopping on here and giving me all the insights. I have so many more questions, but I don't want to take up too
Okay,
much.
you can ask me anytime.
I will. I will. I will be all up in your DMs. Don't worry. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
It was great talking to you, Bryn.
Yeah, it really was.
I was really excited to enter this podcast. Can I ask, is this going to be published to YouTube?
YouTube and Spotify.
Ooh, I'll have to listen to my own podcast and other podcasts also on Spotify. That's amazing.